Broadcast. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Dr. Adams?
2 minutes. That's okay.
Detroit? Well, I suppose the rest of you can hear me okay. Ed, I think I can hear you. Is that accurate, Ed?
Yeah. Did you hear Teddy or something?
Yeah, I can hear Teddy, but I can't hear Troy. I think he's working on something on his end. So I was going to go ahead and start out on my piece. Thanks for joining, everybody. I had just a short little section I want to start with before we get to Jenny, and then you have Troy's other information. I wanted to spend a little bit of time about this thing we struggle with at WellSteps, and that is acquiring new businesses. That's what we do with our marketing and sales, and this idea of retaining customers long term. So just a few little charts, and then I wanted to brainstorm with you a little bit, and I have actually a little survey I'd like you to answer some questions on. Essentially, we're focused on two things. Excuse me, getting new business, that's acquiring new companies, and keeping the ones that we currently have. The amount of money that it takes to get a new business is about 6 to 7 times what it is to keep a client happy long term. And I think we do an extremely good job of retention here. So we have focused this on for a long time. I think the guides and Jenny and everybody in operations does an outstanding job on retention. So if you look at the last year or two of any company that we have lost that has gone somewhere else, I think I can only maybe think of one that just got a little tired of WellSteps. I think maybe it was WellSteps fatigue and they moved on. If we do lose anybody else, it's because they've either run out of money or they're having financial because people are not happy with the service that we're providing. So I think we're doing a great job. My discussion today was how do we do an even better when we look at where the money comes from at WellSteps, this is not our data, but this is kind of industry-wide data, B2B companies like ours. Obviously, we make money when we retain new customers because they're paying us every single month. Our goal is to keep these accounts for 10 years if we can. But then there's new customer acquisition that Kendall and Ed are doing every week, bringing in new accounts. We bring them in the front door, treat them really well, do the handoff to the operations side, and then retain those for a long time. That's where our revenue comes from. That's how we pay the bills every month, is those two items. Yes, we're doing some product innovations and we're doing some new strategies. All those help on the sale and retention side. So they bring it on Fitness Challenge and the badges and the new coast to coast movement maps. Those are effective in sales and those are effective in retention, but they drive our business. And if you ask the question, why do customers leave? Here's the most recent data that I could find. They either have a friend who's going to provide the service, or they go to a competitor. 14% of the time they're dissatisfied with your service, but the main reason is because they believe that you don't care about them anymore. And if you're the vendor and they just feel like you're out of touch with them, or you don't reach out to them, or you're just a number to them, that's the main reason. By or maybe some are dissatisfied with the service after several years. I just don't see too many leaving and going to our competitors. That would really bother me if that were to happen, but that's kind of where we're at. So when I look at what we're doing at WellSteps with retention and business acquisition, we have happy customers if they have a friendly staff and we provide great service. They love us. And if these customers can get access to information and support whenever they need it. So we've done things like bring Will on board so that during the day they can call, scheduling meetings. In essence, treat people with respect, make sure you respond in a timely fashion, give them information they're asking for, all great ways to get businesses to be loyal to us. So I sat down, I'm just kind of thinking about what we do and how we do it, tried to come up with some ideas on how to expand and improve our retention even more. And I came up with just a few ideas just to kick around a little bit. And one is after customer service surprises. Now these are simple notes, gift cards, thank you notes, a thank you card. Jenny, I don't know what we're doing on operations in terms of using some of these printed cards we had. It's a WellSteps kind of a postcard with a nice envelope. I don't know if we have those worked in some kind of a schedule where we can just send those out of the blue, unsuspected, unanticipated. Hey, thanks for your business. We love working with you guys. Just a simple reach out and touch, more than an email, more than a phone call. I don't know where that is. So I'm not going to have you respond just yet, but I'm just going to go through some of my thoughts here. Number two, build trust through relationships. I mean, how do we try to get these relationships with these guides and the coordinators to get to know each other a little better? What specifically do we do? I mean, I know we don't get to meet with them and we don't get to meet with them in person very often, but what are the steps that we do to make these relationships more personal? Get to know them. I know for a long time with Ali and others of you, we get to know the guides on a pretty personal level. Pictures of their kids and where they're vacationing and their ups and downs. And that's kind of what I'm referring to. How do we really get to know these people a little bit better? How often are we communicating with them? I know during the implementation and during setup, there's a ton of communications. I get all that. But then as things are on their own and they're progressing and their entire program's kind of dialed in, I know we have a newsletter. Is it going out on time? Do we want to start maybe thinking about webinars where we can maybe start training all of our coordinators on new items and new things? And I know, Jenny, you have not talked about this, but I thought of the blog posts that I've created. I know they go out in the WellSteps report. I know we share them with people, but those are some really good things to get people thinking about. How can we better do incentives, or how can we better do a wearable device at our company? Just some of that content that I've written would be really good to share with these people as we build these relationships and communicate. Obviously, we do a lot with emails. The idea of over-deliver on your promises. So, we'll get that to you on Thursday, and lo and behold, you delivered it on Tuesday. Or, yeah, we can run that report and I'll get it to you, you know, whatever we promise, we try to over deliver on that promise. That makes people pretty happy. And then the last one that I just was able to come through was, how do we learn from our customer complaints? And that's complaints from not only end users, but complaints from coordinators. And I think we do a good job of addressing or at least preempting problems. I know that because we have really good retention. But I have sat down and created just a few questions that I thought we would like to query you guys on. And Jenny put it into a Google form. So I need all of you in the next week, or actually between today and tomorrow, Saturday sometime. Give me your name so we know who you are. What wellness ideas or programs are customers asking for that we don't offer? Is there anything out there they want, they're mentioning, they're hinting around that we may or may not have in our system? That maybe we do, but it's not good enough. Maybe there's something new they're wanting. What are those things that they're asking about? And these are from coordinators, customers. What are the most common complaints from coordinators? What are the most common complaints from end users? What are we hearing about? What are points to keep people happy? How can we learn from these mistakes to try to get better? And I know a lot of these show up in the suggestion box. That's also linked in here. And I know there's a WellSteps reseller suggestion box. We will be addressing those suggestions at the end of the month in November. Troy and I are toying with the idea of doing this quarterly or monthly, or even shorter, or quarterly, more than it is now. I think it's biannually. We might step that up a little bit. And then lastly, what can we do to improve the handoff between sales and ops? So I'm looking for ideas. I'm looking for things that we can talk about later on to improve our retention, to strengthen our relationships with our clients, to get these people to even have better loyalty to us. Not that it's bad. I think it's good. And I've said that before. I love what we do at WellSteps for the great service that we all provide. But I'm wondering if there's even more we can do to maybe just make our services better for everybody. So Troy, did you get any luck reaching us?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
Awesome. I had to call in, but you know, it worked. So
Jenny has sent this link out to this Google form. You all should have it. If you don't, please let her know. I need some information back from a couple of days. You can take the time and do it right now and ignore me or Troy or Jenny, whatever. I need you guys just to free form, give me some information, some feedback on this, so we can dig in a little better and start to do and create some more things and make this even better. And I throw this out. I know Jenny and I will talk more, but I wanted you to kind of see some things that I'm thinking about that I think we need to maybe operationalize and make sure that they're embedded in what we do. I don't know if these should be into the roadmap on how we do some of these things, but I know that if I were a coordinator and I were getting updates on really important wellness topics on how to do this better and how to do that better and things to think about, maybe joining webinars to ask questions. I know we probably offer some of those and maybe they blow a lot of this off, but it's all about cementing and building that relationship. And just a few ideas. We'll talk more about this. And Jenny, you and I will talk offline about this as well. That's it, Troy.
Steve, I think I may be wrong. I've been wrong one or two times before, but I think that some of the things that you listed on your, you had on your list are already operationalized. We were already doing really well, and
I want to see if there's other things. Maybe there's other things we're not doing that we could consider. Again,
I actually think there probably are, but I just don't want you to think that we're that far behind. We really we've done a great job operationalizing a lot of these things, and so, but there's always more we could do. So anyway,
that's it.
Awesome. So Jenny, do you want the screen or do you want me to show my screen?
Yeah, if I could have the screen, that would be great.
Awesome.
And while I'm getting that, just a note potentially for that survey, as you guys are adding things to it, if you have already put those things in the suggestion box or if they're on the Trello board, go ahead and still put them on the survey, but just note that they've been added to the other places as well, because I think the more times we hear these things and the more ways we hear them, we'll get a good idea of exactly how many accounts are using them. and requesting them and things that we're hearing from them. So even if you have suggestions that you've already put in the box or on the Trello board, please add them to the survey queue so that we can kind of review those and have them there. Okay, so I have just a few things today. As you can see here, this is mostly for the sales team, but a little update for the ops team. Brian took some time and gave a little bit of a facelift to the team room graph. So as you can see, it displays a bit bigger here. The coloring is still the same. We have a lot of accounts that are in the middle of campaigns right now, so we didn't want to change the colors too drastically or make any, major changes right now. But this is part of something that is coming. The design team put in a lot of work, and we have a really awesome team room overhaul that is getting really, really close to the top of the priority list. But I did want to show this to you guys and let you guys know we have started on that, and then we'll see those more significant changes that came directly from the design team in the coming weeks. In addition, I know in the past we have gotten some questions on how we calculate the team leaderboard. So I just wanted to address those. Brian and I have had a lot of discussion on this over the past couple of weeks, and the units were actually different for the graph versus the leaderboard. The graph was done on a weekly basis, whereas the leaderboard was the whole campaign overall. So this did prompt a lot of questions from users and coordinators. If they did team captains, oftentimes we see it from them. So Brian has actually refined that and looked at that. So now they are using the same unit. So if you go through and you add up your team average for all of the weeks that you've had so far, that's going to be exactly what you get over here. So I know that that's a big thing for the guides, just to have that continuity, and that should address quite a few of the questions that we have been getting in the past. So exciting things happening there for sure. The next item I wanted to show you, and sales, this is probably something that you guys, I'm guessing, get questions on, but it has to do with how we can augment device data. So as you know, we sync with quite a few devices now. It will sync directly in MyTracker. We have MyTracker campaign questions that sync with the device, the company leaderboard, all of these things that sync with the device come into play here. Now, occasionally, we have users that forget to wear their device, or their device battery died, or whatever the case may be, and they have data that they would like to have added to their MyTracker. So Brian created a way for us to do this. All of the guides have access to it. It's just augmenting device data. We can come in here, and for any user in any company, we can add data for any day that they request. So in the user's portal, they can go back 2 weeks and add data if they have the manual option available. But if it's farther back than 2 weeks, or they do not give the users the option to insert manual data, then we as guides have the ability to do that now. So we can come in here, we would add the total steps, minutes, miles, or calories for that day. And it's really nice because this is actually going to automatically update in our system. So if I'm a user and let's say September, I forgot to add a bunch of steps and I send them to Carly and she adds them. If I have a MyTracker rewards activity and I didn't get the points before, if with this new data I qualify for those, they're going to automatically show up in my portal for me. So we don't have to do anything manual. The really, really nice thing about this is that it actually adds it to the system so that it looks as if it's coming from the device. So it's taken into account. It's not any hack job. We don't have to award points. We can actually pull the data and see exactly where it came from and how it was represented. So just another reminder for the guys, anytime we do augment the data, it will need to be the total for that day, steps, minutes, miles, or calories. That would include the sync data that's already in the tracker, any manual data that they already have for that day, and whatever we need to add to it. So we would be entering the total, and it's going to, again, update everywhere. It would update in the rewards activities, the company leaderboard, the campaign, all of that. So kind of cool. It gives us another way to help our users when things happen, because we all know that things happen, especially when it comes to devices and wearables and apps. So any kind of overview questions on that before we go on?
Yeah, I have a quick question, Jenny. So if we add data to a day before the user's MyTracker was running, so say they started MyTracker and then they want us to add data for a week before that, will it open another week of the MyTracker so that the user can see the augmented data, or will it just keep the same start date for the MyTracker?
You know, that's a great question, and I will be honest,
It's a great
I don't know the
question.
answer to it. So let's do some testing. If you want to test that, Isabel, and update us next time, or if you want to get together, I'm happy to do that with you, but I do not know the answer to that offhand.
Okay, I
It's a
actually
great
did this
question.
for a user the other day, so I'll just check the user's account and see. I didn't double check it, but I'll do that now.
Cool. Okay, I went ahead and displayed the wheel. That's everything that I have. Are there any other questions? If you're on the wheel, start thinking. Anything? Okay, here we go.
I have a wait, Jenny. I have a question.
Okay.
Oh, you have a question. Mackenzie has a little bit of time. Go
So
ahead.
quick question. So I have some coordinators testing the program center, and I did this myself and just kind of forgot about it. I thought that when we changed to the authentication with the passcode, if someone was using their email as their username and they got the passcode, they wouldn't then have to choose their company name. But all the coordinators that have testing, they had to then choose the company name, which I didn't forewarn them because it's my test company. Is that standard? Did I do something wrong? And is there a reason why we still have that if we have the passcode for the email?
So there's a little bit of audio oddness happening, but I think you're asking if they use their username, do they still have to select their company, or are you asking if they use their email, do they still have to select their company? The short answer is they have to select their company either way. That is just one of the steps of the registration process, no matter which option they're using. I believe. Now, guys, you guys do this a little bit more than I do every day, but they should have to select their company either way.
So do we have, I guess what I'm asking is, do we have a strong reasoning why if they're using email that they have to select their company?
Because that's how we did it for security. There was a lot of back and forth. I don't know.
So we use the passcode for security. I'm just saying it's just not looking well to coordinators who I say, oh, it's a simple registration process. Because right now, if you use your email, you enter your email, you then get a passcode sent to you, you then have to verify which company you're in after the passcode has been sent to you. So it's literally like 3 steps to register, which if we need to do that for security, I can easily tell them that. Yes.
So Troy, I'm going to defer to you guys on this one, because that was a major security point, and I know that process was thought through multiple times. I can take it to Brian if you want us to see if we can remove that, but that one I think is above my grade.
Yeah.
Well, and go ahead, Troy.
Well, I appreciate the feedback on the security process. I can tell you that there was multiple times that we discussed this. I don't know that we ever talked about it in a staff meeting. So it might be a little too late, a little bit too late, Ed, to influence this at this point, because we've already changed it. So maybe we can get together offline and figure out how you can present this to coordinators in a way that makes them feel like they're more secure. So I think that would be the best way I can summarize this at this point. So we're not gonna change based on a prospect feedback.
Yeah, I was just curious on what our reasoning was, because that helps me in the sales process rather than be like, well, I don't know why we have
Ed,
3
Ed,
authentication.
we're going to have a leadership committee council meeting here right afterwards. If you'll just hang on for a minute, let's just bounce it off Brian. I'd like you to explain it to us one more time so we can see exactly as the coordinators are seeing it. That'll give us a way to help you, and you'll find a great way to explain why we do it this way.
Yeah, and Brian
That
is he's heard all of this, so he'll be able to sound off. But I think that once Mackenzie has had lots of time to think about what she's going to say. So.
Oh wait, Mackenzie, before you go, Jenny,
Yeah.
should I follow up with my question if you want, just for everybody's information on augmenting the data?
Sure. Yep. Let's do
Okay.
that real quick.
Okay, so if you add data before the user started the MyTracker, it won't show up in their MyTracker and it won't show on the report. So the only data that will show will be from the MyTracker start date on either the reports or for the user.
Okay. So they have to have started their MyTracker, which makes sense because otherwise we would have people sending us at maybe not included, and that's just the way to kind of troll for points. So thank you for pointing that out. Amanda, if you could make a note, that would be a great thing to have in the ops manual, that even if we augment data, it will not be added unless it was from the time they started their MyTracker or after.
Yeah.
Okay, Mackenzie, I think we have done all we can do to give you some time. So let's have you go ahead and tell us a couple things that we may not know about you.
Awesome. Thanks for giving me time to think. This morning I was like, I'm probably going to get called today. So I was thinking of a couple things. The first thing is just kind of random, is I have an odd ability to like acquire nicknames. I don't really know why, but I have had many nicknames throughout the years. And I don't know if it's because like on every sports team I got a different nickname, but I have been called Happy Meal, Red, because I have red hair, and then like Big Mac, Gladiator. I just so many different nicknames, and it's just funny, and that's just kind of a random thing about me.
Which one's your favorite nickname?
I don't know, probably Happy Meal because it's cute.
Right on.
But the one that like I like for people to like actually use is Red. That I like that. Happy Meal was from my track coach, and he was just the sweetest guy. So it brings back good memories. The other thing I was thinking about, I went to a community college before I transferred to BYU, and I played soccer and ran track and cross country and did a triathlon in those 2 years. And it was super fun, and I had a really good time. And I had never run cross country before. Well, I guess I ran it in 7th grade, but I kind of just hopped in onto the team and had a really, really good time. And that's when I learned my love of long distance running. Not that it was super long distance, but yeah, those are a couple interesting things. I can't really think of anything else because my life is not super interesting right now.
That must be where Gladiator comes from.
That actually came from my soccer team.
Wrestling team, water polo.
Yeah, I do like to try new things. That was the other thing I was thinking of. I love to try new sports or activities. So once I graduated high school, I took a gymnastics class, a swimming class, a ballet class, and a jazz dance class, just because they were all things that I never really learned how to do well as a kid. And I wanted to learn how to dance, and I wanted to learn how to swim, and I love gymnastics. And so I love to try new things like that. Like I want to take like Taekwondo or something in the future.
Well, when you participate in a Tough Mudder, and you got a picture of yourself crawling around in the mud, got to make sure you send that out to everybody so we can see you all muddy.
Will do.
Right on. Well, thanks everyone. Let's see. We'll have Steve, Jenny, and Brian stick around for a little bit. But
And
I
Ed?
think that's our staff meeting for today. And Ed, yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And then Troy, if you want to go ahead and end the recording, we will have it nice and tight to send out later.